Hello today. I'm Lee Sterling. I'm one of Dov Lieberman's head TAs. And I'm here today because he's not. And I believe it's a religious holiday or he has something that is keeping him away. And I know that he loves being here and he wishes that he were here. But you have me today. It's sub day. So let's go ahead. We're going to talk about Maslow today and the humanists. And if you want to go ahead and reorient your little sheets, I know he's got those nice neat little slideshows that he has, which are the key to his courses. As someone who grades this stuff, it's very, very important if you're at home right now and you are trying to study for the exam, which is just around the corner. It's very important that you utilize those slides as well as the readings, because the main part of his exams is differentiating between the theories, okay? All the different theories, line them up, look at them, and that's what you utilize for to understand. That's just a little tip. Nothing more about the class, the structure of the class. We're going to talk about the humanists today. So, before I begin, it's early in the morning. A lot of you are studying to be teachers. Your class times will begin 6:45, you have to be there. 7:07, you'll have students. This is my schedule. That was my schedule when we were doing it. So these morning classes, when you're half awake and undead to the world, it's very important that you bring out yourself and get yourself motivated to be there, because those first classes are very, very difficult. And since we are a similar early morning class, what's the O stand for? Oh my God, it's early. Yeah, that's if you're in the military. So what I'd like for us to do is I'd like for us to all stand up. And I'm going to be standing up and moving around. I'm a little different. So, all right. And what I'd like for us to first do is we're going to do a little song and a little dance. A little song and dance show. And I'd encourage you to participate. It doesn't hurt you, and it's a very interesting way to start the morning, okay? All right. I'm going to do a song, and I'm going to do some hand motions, and I would like for you to follow along. But I'm going to go through the entire song first, and then you'll follow in with the second verse, okay? It's going to be the same as the first. Second verse, same as the first, all right? All right. All right, just watch. Waddle-ee-ah-cha, waddle-ee-ah-cha, doodle-ee-doo, doodle-ee-doo. Waddle-ee-ah-cha, waddle-ee-ah-cha, doodle-ee-doo, doodle-ee-doo. Some folks say there ain't nothing to it. All you gotta do is doodle-ee-do it. Waddle-ee-ah-cha, waddle-ee-ah-cha, doodle-ee-doodle-ee-doo. Hey! Don't forget, the hey is the easiest part, so I want to hear a hey. All right, are you ready? All right? All right. Come on, you're a group. Come on, you've been in this class for a while. I'm an interloper. You can come in, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong. Ready? And waddle-ee-ah-cha, waddle-ee-ah-cha, doodle-ee-doo. Doodle-ee-doo. Waddle-ee-ah-cha, waddle-ee-ah-cha, doodle-ee-doo, doodle-ee-doo. Some folks say there ain't nothing to it. All you gotta do is doodle-ee-do it. Waddle-ee-ah-cha, waddle-ee-ah-cha, doodle-ee-doodle-ee-doo. Hey, let's practice, okay? All right? Whenever you do the doodle-ee-doos, it's a little confusing, okay? Okay, you go right hand to your nose, left hand to your ear. Okay, and then swing out your left hand first to catch the right. Go fin and go the other direction, okay? And then do that again, okay? And do that again. And do that again. All right, okay? All right, thank you for participating. We'll come back to this. How many of y'all felt eminently silly doing something like that? Good. We take ourselves entirely too seriously sometimes. And the thing is that by allowing yourself to engage in an activity where the students are involved in that way, where they see a side of you, it's kind of a reach out. You're not violating anything. You're not telling them anything about yourselves, but at the same time, you're giving them something that you have a shared experience that people will talk about. Okay. Anyway, we're going to talk about peak experiences a little later on. It's a Maslowian kind of concept. So, anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into our handy dandy PowerPoint, and let's see what the first thing is. All right, Maslow. Humans are good. I think, did y'all just get done with Freud, or what did y'all do before? Pardon? Kohlberg? Okay, y'all just started Kohlberg. Oh, I wish I'd loved it. Kohlberg's cool. Y'all did Freud though, right? Yeah. All right. So, Freud. What is about? Can someone tell me how Freud differs from this? Humans are inherently bad. Yes. Okay. That would be the opposite of inherently good. Inherently bad. You have something. You're born wrong, and then by repressing that, that's how you make it goes into the unconscious, and everyone's basically a mass murderer. It's just that we learn how not to be them, and we repress those feelings. Okay. Anyway, it's probably not as bad as that, but we do bad things in the state of nature, just naturally. Humans, Maslow is going to say that humans are inherently good. How many people think that humans are inherently good? And I love the raising of the hands. All right. So how many say, raise your hands again? We got one. We got humans are inherently good. Okay. Humans are inherently bad. Raise your hand. Those are your two choices. All right. So we got some happy people. That's good. Happy people. Loving the world. Grooving on the world. Yeah, that's what he was talking about. So the key thing about it is that it's a fundamental approach. If you think everyone is bad, if everyone is evil, that means that you're going to be more interested in controlling their behavior and controlling what they do. Because they're going to, when they're younger, they're not going to know what they're doing. So you're going to be interested in controlling what happens and in control of the area. If you believe humans are inherently good, what would you then kind of subscribe to? If that's the Freudian concept, how would that be a Maslowian? What would be the counter to that?
That we're not going to be worried? Is that what you're trying to say?
It's not that we're not going to be worried about. Take it to the other way. It's that we're going to be. You're going to get some syrupy, touchy-feely, everybody loves me, I love you, everybody. It's like, it's like going to Barney's, it's the Barney theory of I love you, you love me, let's be all one happy family. That's Maslow, right there. And the thing is that it's up to your point of view. But it seems to me that in this world, personally, that we do a lot of telling people what's wrong with them, as you're experiencing with your grades, what's wrong with you, rather than what's right with you. And I think, while people are naturally going to be critical, and there's certain things that are fundamental about human nature, that you get jaded by whatever society you're in or how you make your way in this world. I think at the same time it's something that we should try to strive for, and it may be something where it's in between both of those. There's no such thing as black and white, just a whole bunch of gray, that kind of theory. And there may be some truth to that. But the deal for Maslow, for what he was saying, for the basic things, is that humans are good, and you're going to see how that elaborates when we go forward. All right, these are kind of like his assumptions. He's done it on each one. These are very important so that you can delineate from each of the theories. Okay, humans are active as well as reactive. That's a little interesting. It's active and reactive. Okay. So, what does that mean? Anybody have any clue at all? Still too early? Go ahead. Yes, hit your button there.
They act on their environment and change things, and the input that the environment gives back to them shapes their future actions.
Yeah, so it's this. Yeah. It's a good answer. It's active. It's exactly as she stated. Things that as you are in the world, not only, and there's also other things to that. Other people are shaping other people's world. So you got a kind of a sideways motion to it too. And that's what they're going to say. Humanists are going to say active as well as reactive. And Maslow specifically would say that. And I don't have as good illustrations as Dr. Lieberman, but just think about it. When you're watching, I mean, if you, how many are teaching currently? Are you working, or is everybody here working toward their teaching certificates? It's 3,300 or 6,330? 3,300. Okay, so you're all, yeah, the nubile young teacher out there waiting. I want to do this. I'm going to do this. Humans are active. I know they are. I can reach those kids. I know I can do it. 3 weeks in, I can't stand it. I can't handle it. And somewhere along the way, a lot of teachers, they lose that verve, that passion. And it is a calling. Society has made it such. You're entering a profession because you love it. And there's no other way around it. You're entering it because you love it. And I hope that everyone has that opinion. Otherwise, you're probably not going to last very long. So, not to be mean or anything, just teacher attrition is something I'm very interested in. All right, this is another good one. Humans are more than the sum of their parts. In other theories, it's separated out. You are the accumulation of knowledge. What you learn is the accumulation of knowledge. Okay? Okay, let this sink in. So it's it stacks up on each other. What Maslow says is that there's more to being a human than just these pieces put together. The concept of being human, of humanity, is far. There's more to it. Dr. Lieberman he is a really good example. He heard someone that was a humanist once say that amoebas are closer to gorillas or chimpanzees, far closer than chimpanzees are to humans. And the reason that he would say that is because that mystical, that spirit that is human, that makes you human, that differentiates you from all other animals, is this spirit. And that's kind of where the humanists are centered, is in this, almost the humanists kind of go into a little bit of an existentialist thing, and we'll go into that a little later. But it's very fascinating because you can't take it apart. It's the whole human. You can't say, okay, we're going to work on motivation, and this is the motivation, we're going to focus on it, and I'm going to make that student work. In reality, what the humanists would say is that you work on the whole person, and it is kind of you're part of something. You're part of something, and you are in control. And anyway, it's a different take. It's sometimes it can be misrepresented too, that emotions are more important than learning and things like that. And just let the kid find himself. Yeah, that'll work in a classroom for an extended period of time. You can't. It's the human, and a lot of people misinterpret humanism to say that. Touchy-feely. Just everyone's happy. Let's all go to the park. Yay. Yeah, no, there's more to it. There are things that are going on, and there is directions you can give. Okay, let's see what the next one is. Human existence takes place in a uniquely human context. I kind of preempted this one. What Dr. Lieberman put this on there. He has a real. He believes that studying rats to determine human behavior is. What does that tell you? Nothing. What does that tell you? I mean, you're going to train some rats to run around a different, a maze, and you're going to starve them, and then have them figure out different things. So, it's what does that tell you innately about human behavior when you do it? And the humanists are going to say absolutely nothing. Behaviorists are going to say, oh, hey, shows you how these things work. Reinforcement, look what the rat did. He ran all the way through. Hey, humans can do the same thing in a controlled situation. All right, so that's the difference. I'm hitting on these because you're going to have to, when you get in the last exam, you're going to have to be able to delineate between Freud and the humanist and behaviorism, because it's fundamentally different. Maslow is like the third way, okay? If you're not it's not a Freudian, okay, and you're not a behaviorist, then this is something that actually has some that is applicable to you that you can use. It's a theory. All right, let's see. What's the next one? Humans are always aware of being aware. This is the whole, I think, therefore I am type thing. I think, therefore I can think. Because I can think, I know I can think. That whole I am awareness is you're always on. And how that translates to learning and education is, guess what? You're always there. You're always in it. You cannot stop learning. Right now, you can't. If you go to the bus stop, someone's talking about politics. You overhear them. You hear a point that you never heard before. Are you learning? Are you being reinforced? No. Do you overhear it? It's not necessarily a model. You're just hearing people talking. You can't even see anybody's face. Are you learning? Or are you not? Yeah. Or are you, because you're aware, you're continuously there. Because you're aware. Oh, that sounds good, doesn't it? Because you're aware, you're continuously there. Hey. Cool. And this actually, I'm doing research currently involving cell phones and how cell phones are impacting adolescents. And part of it's this always being aware, the conscious. If you think about it, when your cell phone is there, when you have your cell phone with you, and those of you who don't, good for you. But those of you who do have cell phones, think about if I'll put it this way. Think about if you didn't have your cell phone for like a week, and you had no way to get the numbers or anything access out of that. How would that change the way you went about in the world? Would that change how you were doing things? How many say that would change the way they do things fundamentally? How many say that it wouldn't change at all? Thank you. It's fascinating when you work with adolescents. They don't understand a day without it. Their entire lives are tied up in their cell phones.
When are they getting cell phones? About what age?
It depends. Depends on what country you're in. But primarily, if you're in Italy, let's give an example. Between the ages of, this is one of the recent little research things. They did a thing on between the ages of 8 and 11. Okay, between the ages of 8 and 11, 67% of the kids had cell phones, and this was a 2002 study. Between the ages of 14 and 18 in Korea, among the Korean girl population, it's 100%. And they change their cell phones every 3 months. On average, because of style, because of the latest new thing, because it's so tied up into who they are. You're going to see, and this is part of what I'm trying to set up, and because I believe that there is a psychological aspect, not just sociological, that there is attachment issues and bereavement issues and things that are psychologically based because of this disconnect from your virtual social network. But anyway, how that applies to Maslow, because it does. Humans are always aware of being aware. But when they have cell phones, they're more aware. How many of you have been insulted because someone took a cell phone and didn't talk to you? Okay, you got a phone. You got two people. They're talking. Someone gets a cell phone and they just answer it and talk. Is that rude, or is that just normal?
Rude as call waiting. I don't like call waiting either.
Well, what happens is that, guess what? It's going to become a point. In the future, it's going to be totally acceptable. It's slowly getting as more and more people And the thing is, it's there, not there, kind of like you're always there. I mean, just being always aware. Well, think about it. Now you're always aware into the entire world. Okay? And that awareness is incredibly powerful, and guess what? It's addictive. Because you're actually, you have to have something else other than you connect you to the world. Very fascinating thing. And it's a good point. Humans are always aware and being aware. And it's awareness of self, it's awareness of you. How many times can you feel people watching you, even though you can't see them? All right? And that's getting a little, but it's there. You can sense people. Everyone has 18 inches of space. So that's a physically aware thing. You're aware of yourself. Hi, self. How you doing? You may not talk to yourself, but you may. Sometimes I do, so it's quite all right. But you're aware, being aware, and this is going to feed into some other concepts. Yes, go ahead.
It used to be when you were going to like a department store to customer service, if you were there in person, you were waited on. Now, you can be there standing in line. If the phone rings, you're the one that's waiting.
Right.
Even though you are physically there,
Right.
the phone takes precedence.
There's an interesting lady in most of the research in cell phones and how they impact society are done outside of the United States. It's kind of interesting about that, because we are late coming to this game. Most other countries that are, I guess you could consider, most other industrialized or modernized countries, and in some cases, even the Philippines, they've changed. In 2001, an election, it was widely accredited that SMS texting, because the entire country, no one talks on the phone because it's too expensive, but they text everything. They're walking down the streets; it's continuous, all the time, and they had 1 million protesters. 1 million protesters, because of the power of grouping people together. There's a book called Smart Mobs. I highly recommend you investigate it, because it explains it. If you saw the riots in France, 15 days, youth, they were rioting continuously. No leaders were arrested. 1,500 cars a night. They had like a burned car total. Talk about people are naturally bad. It goes back. But the thing is that they were making a point. There was an issue behind it. It wasn't just random violence. Well, maybe later on it might have been, but in the beginning it was all because there was a cause. And you see a lot of with the immigration. Maybe I shouldn't. With some of the immigration issues that are currently going down, a lot of the rallies are being continued. They're being kept going because of the SMS texting. It's very interesting. It goes back to kind of a sense of flocking. Ducks flock and geese flock and things like that. It's another theory out there called flocking and tipping point. And there's all these little social psychology points that are really, as we are connected, we're being more. What I guess my point is that we're always be aware of being aware. We're always aware of what of our own awareness, and at the same time, we're utilizing more and more technology to be fully aware of all the time, and so I think a lot of that's some issues that people have, anxiety and things like that, are because it's always on society that we're in. In the quest for efficiency, we're damaging our mental health, and that's one aspect. I can see the need for it, but Maslow's really into the whole. You see where this is going. It's all here. All right, let's keep. I'm probably a little behind, but I like talking about this stuff. Human behavior is determined by an individual's perception of self. Okay. If you think you're bad, what are you going to do? You're going to be bad. If you think you're good, most likely you're going to do good. Dr. Lieberman, because I've had like 4 of his classes, so some of the illustrations are the same. So we'll do this one. In World War II, they were trying to figure out why some soldiers left the battle and just abandoned their post, or refused order, disobeyed order, versus those that took care of every single order, every single thing, and they wanted to look at their backgrounds to see if there was something correlational about how they grew up or where they grew up, so they could get a better soldier that would do orders. And what they found, well, let's see what y'all think. How many of you think those people who were brought up in a loving situation with all their parents and all their needs met and all of their everything they ever wanted and like a middle class or everything was taken care of. They never experienced a day of hunger. They never experienced a day of fearing for their life. Nothing like that. Versus students that are not students, but versus soldiers that came in directly off the streets, or who were orphans, or who had their social upbringing was not a happy one. And do you know which ones charged up the hill when ordered? Okay. So let's. If you think that the students who didn't really, are not students. I keep saying students. So the soldiers, because it starts with an S, so it's the same in my brain. So the soldiers. So if you think the soldiers who were brought up all happy were the first ones charged up, raise your hand. If you think the soldiers who really toughed it out and who had a rough go of it were the first ones up those hills, raise your hand. You're all wrong. What they found is that the ones who had nothing, who were going and who had a tough upbringing, as soon as they saw something that they were going to die, it was all about self-preservation. They're out of there. Okay, what do you mean I'm going to run up against the machine gun? I'm going to go be the cook. Crazy. Because of it was so hard to get where they were. Hey, life is. I don't have to be a hero. Whereas those that grew up in these much nicer situations, they were the first one. They would take it up there, and they ask him specifically, well, why? He says, well, I believe, which was an interesting thing. I believe in what I'm doing, and I trust the officers to do what I'm doing. And if I don't go up, then my buddy may go up, and we're all in this together. So it was real fascinating about that. And you see, your inclination is to think, all right, come on, let's go to the fight. But it wasn't the case. It may have changed. This was in the 40s, so you have a different social dynamic completely than what you have now. But it was interesting about that. And so human behavior is determined by an individual's perception of self. So if you perceive, going back to the slideshow. Human behavior is determined by an individual's perception of self. So if you perceive yourself good, so if a student perceives himself good in the class, do you think they're going to do well in that class? Or do you think they're going to try? But what happens is that if they perceive they're doing well in the class and the teacher tells them, you're not good at all, what's going to happen then? That's probably not something with humanist issue. This is an issue of motivation. And they're going to say that the teacher there's something, your teaching style is, humanists would say you've got to delve more and find out what the interests are, or find out what's making that student not do well according to what you're doing. But they probably wouldn't be concerned about doing the concept of doing well anyway. The whole A's and B's and stuff like that. Probably wouldn't be so important to a humanist. For behavior change, oh yes, go ahead.
I was wondering
question?
If a student is doing bad, is it possible that he can be good?
Of course, that's what the humanists say. He's saying, you mean like he's doing bad, but he's doing good, like in?
Later on in life.
Oh, of course. There's tons and tons of. There's so much. There's so.
They hear it on TV.
Oh, okay. His question is, if a student is bad, can they be good? Can they become good? He's basically asking, can someone change from good to bad? Can you go from being fundamentally bad to good? If humans are going to say yes. If their needs are met, they begin to move up the ladder, and we'll talk about that. That's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it's the big, huge dun 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 of Maslow. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and people will talk about it over and over and over. And then when you're talking about humanists and you're talking about Maslow, that's what they'll say. That's probably the only thing that people will remember. And we'll get to it in a minute. But for the important thing, but in order for the humanist would say, for his question, that in order for the behavior change to occur, they've got to think differently about themselves. And it's not just thinking, they've got to feel different. This is not just a thinking concept. This is an emotional thing. It's tied into you doing. I mean, it's emotional. It's kind of interesting because none of the other ones, like Skinner, emotion's a black box. Could you be more? Okay, it's in a black box. Black boxes are what they recover when airliners go down. Okay, so we're going to take everything that's in the I just have an issue with that, but that's because it goes to motivation. If a student hates your guts for whatever reason, are you ever going to be able to motivate them to really do anything? I mean, and I'm not saying that you should get to the point. I mean, you're going to have students that you don't get along with, but if they just can't stand you, then yeah, go ahead. You have a question?
Yeah. So then if the circumstance changes, the behavior can change too? I mean, if
it can change.
If his grades are suffering because he hates you, and then you change, you get a new teacher the next year, is that going to change his behavior?
Well, you've got the part of it. Yes. Yeah, that could definitely. You'll see students that go through and they'll be these bad, horrible students. Oh, I can't believe you've got Johnny B. God, he was horrible last year. And I'm going, that kid's my best kid. Yeah, he's a different kid,
Is it just strictly individuals, or can the entire system change and therefore change the behavior?
That's a good question. What do you think? Since you posited the question.
Based on my experience in high school and my experience in college, you change the system. I dropped out of high school. I'm graduating college.
There are no dropouts in the Akara. There's a tribe, Ashanti or Akara, and there's a whole article about there are no dropouts in the Akari. It's a kind of a qualitative approach to things. What they mean by that in this tribe in Australia, it's almost a Neolithic tribe, basically. But they have these rites of passage, okay, and rites of initiation. It always made a lot more sense to me once I viewed high school as a rite of passage or a rite of initiation to go through. However, and the thing is that by going through it, whatever choices you make, whether you finish or you get your thing or you do well or you do poor, you get socially sorted. And then you have to overcome, and it's a struggle to get to things. Because I can tell you right now, after 9th grade, I was ready to go. Ready to go. It was, and so it's difficult. Can it change? Can you fundamentally change an entire system? Yeah, but you have to do it one person at a time. So, and what happens is people will refer, people are going to go back to what they know, and so guess what? It's a perpetuating thing. It's kind of like, what's the deal with if you are in it's a sad thing. If you are an abused child, or you are verbally, if you have, if you have a bad childhood or you have a negative upbringing, a lot of times you can't break that cycle. You're talking about break the cycle. You have a propensity to do the same thing because that's the model that you had, using Bandura and stuff like that. But it's more than that. It's emotional. It's tied up, and it's just so sad. So it's difficult. Your question is very, very pertinent, especially considering what was the dropouts are the new big thing that we're going to try to curb in the education system. Yet we're fundamentally saying, okay, in 3rd grade, if you don't pass this test, you got to stay behind. No child left behind. We're going to make sure they get the stuff, but you didn't make it. American culture is a lot based about zero-sum game. Think about it. Do we watch a lot of soccer? Unless you're really passionate about it, you really don't watch it. And hockey is the same type of way. And whereas football and baseball and basketball, and I think one of the reasons is because there's winners and losers in every single game. We're a society of winners or losers. Are you a winner? Or are you a loser? Are we winners or are we losers? And it's so funny because, if you heard the little saying, there's no winners and losers is how you play the game. In reality, we're not telling people that. It's all about winning in our society. And it becomes more about winning than it does about developing, about becoming a human and being good. And it's how often it's funny, you see on CNN every once in a while they'll put in a little piece like cat stuck in wall for 12 days saved. It'll be one, and surrounding it are 30 people blew themselves up today at a bus stop in Fallujah, or young girl kidnapped in northwestern state, presumed. They found her shoe and she's presumed dead. It's interesting. We got that one little happy piece, and it's about an animal. Typically, it's generally not about the happy human situation. And all we worry, Anyway, that was a random rant, wasn't it? Okay. Let's get back. I'm probably behind. Okay. Humans have free will and responsibility. We'll go through these a little bit more quicker. Free will. They're basically saying, hey, humans can decide. They have it upon themselves. They decide. Interest. Wouldn't you like, how many of you let's go ahead and, does anyone have anything weird that they collected? This is a good one. Because they're willing to share with everybody and on tape for the next 3 years and stuff like that. All right, go ahead.
I collected Garbage Pail Kid cards.
Garbage Pail Kid cards. Does anybody else collect Garbage Pail Kid cards in here? Those are the ones that are just like, just ghastly. You look at them and you're like, it's like a night M. Shyamalan, maybe even worse, probably more like a slasher horror film. They're pretty bad. But that's what you like. It's your passion. You still collect them? No, not anymore. Well, they're probably worth something now. That's the funny thing about it, is that with the internet, you can sell anything. Yeah, see? He sold them. And what was yours?
Flashlights.
Pardon?
Flashlights.
Flashlights. Okay.
Says a lot.
Yeah. Okay, what was what did you like about flashlights?
I'm never in the dark.
Okay. So really it's a thing about, is it a thing about the dark? That's interesting. It's like, we're going to get into psychological stuff.
It is about the dark too, but I like all the different styles. You've got ones that can come on at this time, and little ones, big ones, and you're never in the dark. Wow.
Okay. What's that? We've got one more. What was yours?
The collectible Barbies, like the ones that are super expensive.
Okay. Are they out of the boxes?
Oh, God, no.
Oh, okay. All right. So, but you never actually played with the Barbies? No. Okay. Every single person, and this is the beauty of the humanists, okay? Every single person is a unique and different individual or creature as they are. Okay? They have their own free will. But with that free will, and there's a thing that we don't do so well in our society, is responsibility. Because you have free will, because it's everything, because you're good, because you're free will, you have a responsibility, an innate and internal responsibility to do good. You know the difference between good and bad. It's harder. You don't have anything to forgive you to get out of jail. If you do a bad thing, it's on you. And most people do not get that part of humanism. Okay? It's interesting because a lot of times people, when say humanism, you think of secular humanism. And, the secular humanist. And they're lambasted as far as they're the ones that typically that are anti-creationist, in schools and things like that, and they're the ones that religious groups are. They're the ones that butt heads, basically. And a lot of times people, when they hear humanism, they go, oh, they don't believe in God. And it's not true. Not true at all. Not true at all. I mean, if you think about it, it's actually very spiritual. This is kind of a spiritual theory. Just how people interpret it. All right, those are good. Those are our basic postulates. Anybody have any questions over that? I think this is the last one. We got one more. Humans are attentional and aim for goals. This goes back to it. Okay? What you do, you are not passive. You are doing stuff that you want to do. Okay? And you will, you go into goal theory and things like that. You're going to shoot for something. There is something. And so setting goals is a good way of, but the thing is that you can't have them externally set. See? What they're saying is that you, even though you may not, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, you don't know what you're doing, you'd be sitting still doing absolutely nothing. Now, you make a choice. You have a goal. It may be that you're going to watch, it may be that you're going to watch 4 hours of Sex in the City one day.
I didn't carry one with me.
You have a flashlight with you.
Yes.
Prove my point. Unique and individual. Perfect. All right. Yeah. Basically, aim for goals. That's it. That's good. If he wants to, Dr. Lieberman will come back and cover anything. What is humanism? Wow. All right. These are some. This is interesting. These are words that are associated with humanist theory or humanism. Okay. These are things that you would say. They're going to be different. They're going to, like you said, they're touchy-feely. Okay. So here we go. Dignity. And you're saying rational. That's interesting. Rational. Where does the rational come from?
You thinking about what you're thinking?
Yeah. Well, it's aware. It's not necessarily just thinking about your thinking. It's more than that. You are aware. Okay? Not just of here, but you're aware. And because of that, it is a very rational. It's thinking. You're right along the same lines. But because of that, because your decision making is yours, you have to say, okay, well, I'm rational. There's a reason behind what I'm doing because I have free will and I am choosing these things. So it has to be, there are certain things. It may be, I'm choosing to take that money from that woman because I don't have any food. But it is rational. And whether or not it's good is a different issue. But it may not, if you're starving, your concepts of good and evil are a little bit more blurred. And we're going to get into that. That's what he's talking about. That's why his theory has a little more, has some utility when talking about people's actions. But some people say that, Freud does too. Freud would just say, you're repressing it and it actually got out. The id got away. His explains more, in my opinion, explains more random behavior. But I think there's also issues that funnel that too. So dignity. So dignity is very dignified, don't you think? It's very, human beings are good. Human beings are rational. They're truth-seeking. They want to find out what they want to know. Isn't that why you're here? You want to know? Most people would probably say, no, I just want to get the degree. Nah, it's just a goal I need to get. But it still falls into the thing. But in all honesty, the real reason you're here is because you're seeking this knowledge. It becomes codified and bureaucratized as you go through it. But the real reason you're here is because you want to learn, because you want to know. Or you want to help others. Truth-seeking in the process of going through that. Understanding yourself better. It starts with yourself and then it flows outward. And that's what you're going to see more here. Goodness. It's okay to be goody two-shoes, It's all right. It's good. Goodness. More is than the sum of the parts. Okay, so it's a whole. Keep going. Self-actualization. Okay, well, this is a concept we'll get in a little bit later on. But self-actualization is the top of this pyramid of such. That is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay. A lot of times, a self-actualized person, you can't. I'm self-actualized. No, it doesn't really work that way. Good try. it's kind of a hard concept to grasp, but I think we'll get into it in a little bit. Hopeful. How many of you have heard the psychology movement that's with hopelessness and hopefulness? Because people don't think they can do anything, they have this sense of helplessness that is learned. They can't do anything. Because I continually can't do anything, I can't do anything. And guess what? They can't. Because it's all about, so if you're hopeful, and I'm getting married in October. Yes, I found somebody, and we're going to talk about love and belonging. He gets into that a little later on. But right now I'm at a very good point in my life. And I'll show you where I'm at on that little pyramid in a minute. But he talks about that. As I'm very, very lucky, because I'm a little different personality. And I'm very hopeful. I feel great. It's good. So it's good. It's a good time in my life to do humanist. Motivating. Affirmative. So it's you did great, Johnny. You did great, Johnny. But the thing is that there's a sincerity here. Okay. I'm doing it and saying it that without really meaning it, and you can. And guess what? Kids can pick up on that within seconds. High school students, they live in that world where every nuance, every word said has particular meaning. Because they're trying to make sense of the world and they're trying to adapt to what's going on. So, affirmative. But it's easy to say, hey, I saw, your assignment was great. I mean, there was these you made this point that was fantastic. I really love this part of your paper. Wouldn't if we changed the way we did things instead of saying, this is minus, this is minus, this is minus. If we said things where it was, hey, this is great. You did a great job. You did a great job. You did fantastic. However, you only give them 80 points. Would that work? Nah. So what happens is we're stuck with this system. We're stuck with this system until we get everybody on the same page. But I don't know if that's a possibility because it's all about fault and wrongness, and it's very difficult. Celebratory. Everybody happy. Celebrate good times. Come on. Dun, 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 dun. Ah. I like that song. And what that is it means celebratory. It means like everyone. It's good. We're happy. It's celebrate. It's all ties in. Holistic, human potential. That's another aspect of it. Everyone. We're going back to your question about the students. If they're good, if they're bad, will changing their situation help? And a lot of times, sometimes that works. Sometimes the person who is, the teacher, sometimes change needs to happen on both sides. Maybe they're, Piaget would say maybe they're not developmentally ready. But I think bad behavior is bad behavior in my opinion. So, because I think that there's free will, and think that students learn that free will too, and it's about consistency more than anything. And that's what people get upset about is consistency, and they're going to address, the humanists address consistency. Human potential. Everyone has the chance to move forward. Growth. And this is growth not in physical growth, but in human growth. You don't just grow. It's not just you're 5'4" and then you're 5'6". It's wow, I really don't agree with that policy. I think that's wrong. I think it's in moral development. You grow. Okay. Openness. These are all enlightenment, and it's all good things. It's almost we're all it's just happy stuff. But those are good. Those are key words that you might want to, if you see them again, in some way, shape, or form, they might give you a clue as to this is humanist, humanist. That's what you got to be able to identify whenever you're seeing these things. Okay. All right, what's our next slide? Humanism. What is it? Okay. Develop the innate potential of every person. Let each become all. What is it? He does the whole. Is it what is it? The 19th teaching. Yeah. Let them become all that they are capable of becoming. Okay. Isn't that such a wonderful thing? Isn't that empowering? Isn't it touchy-feely and doesn't work in a classroom? It's only what happened is that, to give you an idea, I did this. I really was a humanist whenever. I didn't know at the time. But I was in an area where it was already okay to be a little touchy-feely because I was teaching theater. Okay, I was teaching theater and like a history/English gifted and talented class. And I had a whole lot of autonomy when I was developing my curriculum. I had 3 preps, but I got to do a lot of different things. One of the best things that I ever did, and this was with just regular students in a Theater 1 class, is there's a book called The Power of a Penny. And our curriculum director at the time was really interested in this. She didn't know at the time that she was this passionate humanist. Or she may have. But she gave every single teacher this book called The Power of a Penny. And what it was 1 penny. The school collected everyone brought a penny every day, and soon they were trying to pay for the sign, to rebuild the sign. And what it became is they had enough money to build a wing, because it became everyone collected. The entire town collected pennies. The children collected pennies. They would they would just go through all of these. It was like $300,000 in pennies. And it was so powerful, and it took off, and it made a sense of community, that he came up with some different things about being. It's kind of like the movie Pay It Forward. I don't know if y'all have seen that. It's the little Haley Joel Osment, little young guy. He's older now, but I think he was the. Where is he at? He was the kid in Sixth Sense. Yeah, that's it. I was trying to remember his main film that everyone how you relate to. But in that film, it was all about you give things to somebody, you give what's important to you or valuable to you to someone else to help them, and then guess what? It'll come back to you. And that's kind of in the process of doing this. Okay, this is another good point. How many of you believe that every teacher, and we're going to do a vote, how many believe that every teacher leaves a little bit of themselves with each student they come in contact with? Oh, wait. Versus how many don't believe that's how it works? Okay? How many believe that that's how it works? You leave a little piece of you. How many of you believe that you don't leave a piece? Anybody?
Well, I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was thinking both ways that it can work out for the teacher. I mean, it can either be how the student view or get that motivation from the teacher. I mean, there's some students in the classroom that can look down upon a teacher and just blow it off. But it depends on the student and how he views and gets that interpretation in the classroom.
Right. Okay. That's a depends. That's a gray area. But I'm saying, in general, if you had to choose. So no one would choose that you don't leave a piece with you. Humanists would say, what are you talking about? Why would you want to leave a piece of you with a student? Isn't that just arrogant? You're not leaving a piece with you. You're facilitating their own learning. They have free will. You're saying that you are going to impact them and show them the world and say, "This boom, you're gonna imprint them." So think about that. That's a fundamental thing. That's where the term facilitation. You'll hear that a lot when you continue with your courses. Facilitation means that, hey, I'm here and I'm helping the student go along. I am not the teacher and I am not the font of knowledge. This is what you must learn. This is how you must learn. This is exactly what you must do. Whenever you get done, I'm going to leave a piece of my greatness with you.
Or better.
Okay? what happens is you don't really see it that way when you say yes or no to these questions, because it's nice. You want to leave an aspect where you affect your students. That's what you do affect them. But let me tell you something. We're going to do this in a second, because this is about capable of becoming and things. Okay. Okay, I want you to think for a second. I want you to kind of close your eyes and kind of don't go to sleep on me. But I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to go back to your educational experience, the whole span of it. I want you to think of a time or an instance in your education, the first one that comes up to you that's a memorable situation, that you totally, it stands out in you, and it's something that have you and a teacher or you and another student, or something that occurred in school that has stayed with you, that you remember the situation, you remember everything about it. I want you to go there. I want you to kind of go through that. Go ahead and make your eyes closed. Make sure, play with me on this, okay? I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to go there, and I want you to go look at yourself from the outside. I want you to go through the feelings. What were you feeling? What happened? Okay. All right, come back out. Okay. Does anybody want to share that? Does anyone want to share the moment that they've just kind of relived? Okay, we hadn't heard it from you yet, so.
Mine was in 4th grade when I was just going. I had a teacher, Miss Krogert, who did her room. It was completely circus, and everything was creative and colors, and it just sparked this like creativity, and it was so cool to be there, and I loved doing it, and like everything she did with journals, and it was just totally cool to be in her classroom, and it stayed with me because now I'm all about getting the kids involved like I was when I was in her classroom.
Okay, I want 2 other responses. Who else? Haven't heard from Roz. I know her name.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Mine also was in 4th grade, but it wasn't a pleasant experience.
Good. No.
Mine was the
Not
teacher.
Good, but.
Yeah, no, mine was the teacher actually accused me of cheating on a geography test when I didn't. I studied hard. and she stood in front of the class and said that she knows that I cheated on the test. And I got 100 on the test, and she said I cheated.
So she publicly said that you cheated on the test.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Can I have a third one? Anyone else? Thank you.
I had a nun that would hit me on the head every time I put my pencil to the paper.
What did she hit you with?
Therefore, I did not learn geometry.
Free will. Okay, because we could. Okay, what happens is part of this, and he doesn't go over this directly in the slide, or maybe he does it in a different set of slides or something. But one of the most powerful concepts I have ever come across is called peak experiences. And peak experiences, especially when you're, say, between 3rd grades and 10th grade, that happens all the way up through school. But those peak experiences, those things that you remember, almost 9 times out of 10, they don't focus on any point of knowledge. Okay? They don't focus on any point, one single point in your educational experience. So, when I learned that concept, and I was always a project guy, I loved them. I took, how many of you know, in 1814 we took a little trip along with Colonel Jackson on Mighty Mississippi. Anybody from East Texas and the South, you ever heard that song before? Yeah. Johnny Horton? Yeah. I took that song in 9th grade or 10th grade. We read Huckleberry Finn. I took that song, rechanged all the words for Huckleberry Finn, built a raft out of wood, a 4-foot long, 8-foot long, 4-foot wide raft with a thing, dressed up in overalls, a hat with tweed on it, and sang that in front of my class for my project. Teacher didn't really encourage me to do that. The project was write a song. I wrote a song, performed it, did the whole 9 yards. I remember every aspect of that. Fortunately, no teacher ever helped on that part. But the reason why I did things like that is because in the 8th grade, I had a teacher who would allow, a history teacher, who would allow me to, I'll never forget, Miss Bass, would allow a very dysfunctional young boy who was going through divorce and all kinds of other issues that young adolescents go through to come into her class before, so that he wouldn't face having to pick a social group, because he was in many different social groups. Come in before class started and work on history and different things, because that's what I was really interested in. Because of that, because of the latitude that she allowed me in that 8th grade class, I expected all my classes to do that. So when I got to high school, I was a little upset, because here I was, a big project and creative person wanting to do all these different things. And I'd written a play. I wrote a play that was performed by the school in the 8th grade. Write a play. Why would you want to do something like that? Just go write a paper. Well, I'm going to write 20 pages if I write a play. No, write a 4-page paper on Hitler. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's that's the main thing. When you get a student that elucidates what are their interests, or you find out, you take the time, and that's the key word, because we don't got enough of it, but you make the time to find out what each and every student is interested in, you'll have a wonderful class. You'll create peak experiences at every point. I had a kid that was in my theater class, and he's almost there, almost had his acting down, but he was pretty lazy. And he just, one of those, he had talent, but he just never, put it off. And I gave him an assignment where he could do a project, and they chose to build a replica, they were the Globe Theater. I was like, you could draw out the Globe Theater and show me, do like a drafting thing. He was interested in drafting because his dad was a woodworker. I was like, okay. Well, he came up to me at the end of the 6 weeks and said, we're not finished. I don't want you to get a bad grade. I want you to come to my house and let me show you what we're doing. But I don't want you to think, because I don't have it, it's not done. But I don't want you to think, because I know you've had me and you're going to give me a 0. I was like, look, I'm going to give you a 0 if there's nothing there. I'll come. But I'm going to give you a 0 because this is, it's at the end of the 6 weeks. You had 6 weeks to finish this. And anyway, but I had left the project uncapped. There was a rubric that went with it, but it was very, basically turn it in, have something that was related to it, related to the Globe Theater and Shakespeare and things like that. Well, I go to his house, and I was teaching at a relatively poor school. And I go in the back, and I look, and the smiling father comes out, meets me, says, I love this. This is the best thing we've done since he was little. His mom has had issues, and this has been wonderful. And he takes me back to this wood shop. Oh, dun dun dun! It is like a full-on, to scale Globe Theater recreated with a trap door in the bottom, with the groundlings, the pieces, and they're constructing the roof to match it, to make sure that he had about 12 different plans. They had been working on it every single day after school. I was like, for all the failures, because of that, I gave out the assignment to other students, and they did, little, here's my drawing, they did that, and they didn't get a great grade, okay? But for every student, that one student, and this kid was marginal, this kid was more than likely going to drop out. That's that power. That's what I want. That's what you want. And that's what I hope that, when y'all get from this, I know you might think I'm crazy and everything, but that's the reason. That's it. Those peak experiences. And if there's one thing you can get out of Maslow that will help you as a teacher, create environments where those peak experiences can be experienced. It's not all about testing. And it doesn't have to be. A good teacher can achieve everything on the TEKS and utilize it in a situation that is interactive. I firmly believe that. Because guess what? If you hand them out just tons of assignments, they're going to cheat on them. They're not going to do them. then you have to chase them down. But if you have a project where everyone's incorporated into it, in a good way, up to their interest level, not just, here, you're a good student, so you do this, and this student, you find out what their interests are. You don't, because the worst thing you can do is assign them to do something that they hate. But what happens is students are here, they're the blank slate, we're delivering the knowledge to them, shoveling it in, whether they choke or not, you know. All right, that's a good thing. That's a great thing, isn't it? All right, help in each individual self-actualize. And going, that's what you're doing. You want to. You're helping them self-actualize. You're getting to that point of, and we'll get into that. I don't do as good a job with self-actualization, but fundamentally, it is. Well, let's get to within. Yeah, I want to get to the better explanation of it. I'll keep putting off self-actualization because I want to get to the actual chart so y'all can see it. Okay. Within every person is an active will towards health, growth, and the actualization of human potential. If you're actualized, you're everything you be. You know, the army. Be all you can be in the army. Remember that? I don't know if that's too old or I'm dating myself or not, but be all you can be. Hey, the army has got a humanist philosophy. It's kind of weird, but no, that's what that means. Whatever your potential is, to actualize it. Now, can you define potential? Well, people say with the IQ test you can. It's predictive. And that's the key thing. It's not how you are, it's your potential. That's why I don't think that, in my opinion, the IQ test will lose a whole lot of validity when you get older as far as predictive quality. But it does show, the IQ test does show one thing. It shows how well you do in school. If you score high on an IQ test, you do well in school. Pretty much. Yeah, that's a thing. And you can have people that go off the other one way or the other, but determining how smart people are, no. Okay. Here's Maslow. Here's a picture of him. And there he is. Pleasant-looking guy, isn't he? Yeah. Yeah, he's good. All right, there's his picture. All right. Now we're going specifically into Maslowian philosophy. What we've been talking about is mostly humanist, but it all stems mainly from he's the main guy. Okay? And to understand humans, you must understand their highest aspirations. You see this theme. It's not a difficult. This is a concept. It's not out there. It's pretty simple. And that's what I like. One of the things is that you're looking for economy, or you're looking for not specificity. There's a word. Look, you're looking for economy in a theory. You're looking for is it applicable in a lot of situations? Does it make sense when you pull it and push it, take it apart? Does it still make sense? Yeah. And a lot of reasons why it makes sense to us is because when he came out, and all these things don't seem so foreign to us. If we were doing the same session in the 1950s, this is revolutionary. This is, what a change 50 years does. 56 years. Wow. Oh, I dated it. Oops. Sorry. What a change it's been. And this would be fundamentally different. To understand humans, you must understand their highest aspirations. I wonder if you could make the converse of that. If you don't understand humans, then it's because you understand their lowest aspirations. Huh. Anyway. All right. Yes?
I was wondering...
Yeah, you gotta use a little...
I was wondering, is that like a theory of Maslow? Or is it actually a fact that happens in society or whatnot?
It's a tenet of his philosophy. He's saying this is how we exist. He's describing, it's a descriptive one. He says to understand humans, you must understand their highest aspirations. Human study must be humanistic and holistic. We're having...
It's cold.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do y'all want to get up and y'all want to warm up? All right. Say thanks. We warm up. All right. Human study must be humanistic and holistic. Okay, everybody stand up. because some people came in late and they didn't get my initial. So the experts and people. 6 minutes left? Oh my gosh, there's only 6 minutes left. We'll have to hurry. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, and we'll quickly run through a couple of things. And Dr. Lieberman, tell him what slide we're on. We're on 6 or 7 when he comes in. So let's go ahead and what we're going to do is I'm going to demonstrate, and then those experts are going to that got to hear early, that have intimate knowledge of what's going to happen. You can let everybody else in, okay? I'm going to demonstrate, and then you're going to follow, okay? In actuality, this little silly thing that I've made people do, it's actually a bilateral exercise that will increase your thinking and your ability, and you'll be happy for around 25 to 30 minutes. This is actually what I did some research on, and this is what I won an award, the NAG, at the National Association for Gifted Children on. Is this very thing. Now there's a lot of them. The camp songs and the silly things you do at camp, guess what? They're very effective for creating a good group dynamic, for creating people and allowing people to see you and you interact with them and they interact with you. Okay? So remember that. And if you have any interest about that, you can speak with me after class. Okay? All right, but I need everyone to participate. None of this. Okay? All right, here we go. All right, and see, you have some people cross. I'm not doing it. Actually, you would assume that that's because they don't want to participate, but it's cold. All right, ready? So it's not always what you think it is. All right, ready? And I'm going to demonstrate first, and then we're going to go through. Okay? Waddle-ee-acha, waddle-ee-acha, doodle-ee-doo, doodle-ee-doo, waddle-ee-acha, waddle-ee-acha, doodle-ee-doo. Doodly-doo. Some folks say there ain't nothing to it. All you gotta do is doodly do it. Waddly-acha, waddly-acha, doodly, doodly, do. Hey! All right? Okay. Ready? Let's go ahead and do this. And waddly-acha, waddly-acha, doodly-doo. Doodly-doo, waddly-acha, waddly-acha, doodly-doo, doodly-doo. Some folks say there ain't nothing to it. All you gotta do is doodly-do it. Waddly-acha, waddly-acha, doodly, doodly-doo. Hey! Okay. Now, anybody choose not to? Now, how do you use my theory against me?
I'm not going to use your theory against you, but I'm not going to do that silly dance.
Okay. Why?
I don't like participating in group actions.
Okay. But what are you exercising? Go back to the middle zone. What are you exercising? Your free will. All right? But you have a reason for doing it. Because you don't like silly activities. It's okay. Not a problem. I would like everybody to, what did I say? I would like everybody to participate. What happens if you do it enough? Guess what? Everybody wants to participate. After a while. But it takes, because it's a shock. You're like, oh, what am I doing? I'm on camera and I'm doing that? All right, go ahead and take a seat. That's an illustrative example. What happens is that you could go, oh, he has to do it. No. It's meant, I ask everyone to participate. And now the thing is, the respect level may have dropped a great deal. But at the same time, it may have increased. Because I consciously made a decision that I wanted to interact rather than being up here doing something silly. Which it is silly. But it's designed to be. Because guess what? You ever heard of that inner child stuff? We don't play enough with them. I don't think at all. And guess what? You're all smiling now and they're actually looking up at me. So I guess that's what I want to, we got 2.5 minutes. We'll cover it. Human values are intrinsically good and desirable. You see? It's all good. It's all good. Isn't that a great statement? It's all good. They'll talk about it. It's all good. They don't even know what that means, but it's all good. Everything's good. It's all good. It's all good. All right. This is important. Intrinsic. You understand about extrinsic and intrinsic learning? Learning for the sake of learning is intrinsic. You want to do it. You don't have to be. I know it's hard sometimes, but like you get a paper that you really enjoy, and you write like 5-6 pages on it, and you're only like 2, and you really enjoy it. It happens so infrequently, trust me. But that's part of it. You do it because you want to. And a lot of the personality, they're going to say, this is kind of interesting. This is a direct quote from Maslow. Personality problems are loud protest against the crushing of psychological bones. Good quote. Basically, if you're messed up and you're bad and there's something to you, there's something either inherently wrong with you, or there was something that occurred to you that impacted you that made you that way, to where you never got any work on yourself. You never got the opportunity to do it because you were crushed. You were psychologically crushed, or actually physically hit. Wow, how things have changed.
She was doing a lot of psychological testing on all of us kids, and because it was a parochial school, the government wasn't involved, so she was able to do this. It was the whole year I got hit.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But what's happened is the difference. Like, you were hit, and when it was awful. Okay, that's almost there's a psychological issue there. You were embarrassed. So we got 30 seconds. You were embarrassed. And yours was, you were just actual. You were like, this is great. This is what I want to do. But those powerful for those individual things, those experiences that you had, shaped a lot of what you do and how you're doing it. And probably the reason why you're doing education. Okay, we're almost ready to go. It's been a pleasure. And good night and good luck.